So here's another post from the couch. When you live the life of an entrepreneur, especially when you're running a small business, then you're likely going to come to a point in time where you get involved in networking groups. A lot of us have heard of them. I'm not going to mention anything by name because I don't want to endorse anything per se, except for the one I really want to talk to you about, which is the one I've just recently joined. See, the problem I have, or have had with these things, and I'm sorry, I was just eating lunch, so if I'm stumbling, it's because I'm trying to make sure I've swallowed all my food. But the problem I see, first of all, let's talk about the problem with the people who join these things and then come back later and complain that it doesn't do any good, that it's a waste of time and money. If you've had that experience, some people aren't going to like me hearing me say this, but I'm going to venture to say that it's your own fault. Because what happens is people join their local chamber of commerce and they pay the money, and then they don't do anything. Nobody's going to come running to the membership list on their website and say, oh my God, I got to call Seth. You have to actually follow through and show up and participate in these things. And more importantly than that, you have to not make it about what am I getting out of this. You have to make it about what can I contribute. Because I'll tell you how it works. If I go in there and I start meeting people and I take an interest in them and I learn about them and their business because I'm asking them questions aimed at doing just that, first of all, I'm getting them to talk about themselves, which most people, especially small business entrepreneurs, love to do because they're dying for an opportunity to sell you on their services. But more importantly than that, it educates me about who's their perfect referral. And if I go out there, and I've learned this in life in general, not just business, if I go out there thinking in terms of how can I help, what can I bring, right, then that's going to come back to me. But more specifically, if I then think in terms of how can I make a referral to this guy or this girl or this woman, and then I go out there and I look from amongst my people, or I just pay attention. So when somebody comes to me and says, I really need somebody who does that, then I say, I just met Bob, and Bob does that. And I'm dying to refer somebody to him. You got to give this guy a call. He's amazing, right? So we make the referral. And what happens? Not only did they get excited because I took such an interest in them, now I'm actually referring them business. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to feel almost compelled to have to find ways to refer business back to me. Not everybody. Some people are selfish by nature, but I like to think that most people aren't. Especially when you're in the world of a small business entrepreneur. Most of us understand one another. I understand what you're going through because I go through the same thing. So if somebody goes out of their way to help me, you better believe I'm going to make it a point to go out of my way to help them. So you have to bring something to the table. And then I can almost guarantee you that you'll get something back for it. So where's the problem then that I have with the networking groups themselves? Is a lot of them, in my experience, and I've been to a few of them, you go to their meetings, it's once a month or twice a month, some of them even weekly. But the problem is I go to the meeting and I walk out of there all jazzed up. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got so many people to refer to these people. Half hour later, I'm into my routine and I've completely forgotten about where I was that morning, and I completely forget about it for the rest of the week or the 2 weeks until I'm back there at another meeting again. And so I gave up on the idea myself. I said, and plus, I said, it's a waste of time. I really felt that way. It is a waste of time because the reality is, with social media being where it's at today, I can have exposure to thousands, millions of people even. So what do I need to waste my time going to an in-person event where there's 25 people and it's a long-term build, and it's a lot of time and energy you've got to put in for very little that you get in return. Reality is, when I joined the Burbank Chamber, the first year I didn't really get much business out of it, but the second year, almost immediately, I got one client who I ended up billing, I think, about $750 in services right at the beginning, which paid for both years. Okay, so sometimes you have to be a little patient and then the return comes in. But the point is that I still felt for a long time that I could be much more effective just at my computer using social media. So what happens? What happens is I get stuck in my office and there's no real personal interaction. And I was fine with that because my interaction, again, was online. I belong to these Facebook groups. I have a great time posting in them and joking around. Some of them are business related, some of them are just for fun. And I have a great time. To a large extent, that's become a big part of my social life. So then I get a call from this guy. His name's Bob Friedenthal. A few months back. He calls me up and he says, hey, this is Bob Friedenthal. I know you from LinkedIn. And I just wanted to reach out to you, tell you about something I'm working on. And I recognized his name. I'd seen him around. So I said, I was open. I said, sure. I said, what do you got? And he went on to explain that he's working on a networking group where, you know, they meet twice a month. And I stopped him right there. I said, you know what? I'm not really interested because I can be much more effective being online. He said, okay. He says there's still, he said, first of all, the thing he said to me, which did kind of get my attention because it's true, he says, first of all, you can't rely on one form of marketing. So if all you're doing is internet marketing, it's a mistake, because what if you do the wrong thing or something goes wrong and that dries up, or it takes a while because you got to shift gears? Either way, he was right. You need to have many forms of marketing in your arsenal. The other thing is, of course, and I don't think anybody could really dispute this, there is something to be said for that face-to-face, that in-person, that human touch, right? So I agreed with him there, but I was still very reluctant. Nevertheless, what did get my attention was he also promised to help me build my contact base, my connections on LinkedIn. That got my attention because that's online, that's where I live, and that's what I love. So based on that pretty much alone, he sold me. I said, sign me up. You know, he told me what the fee is. I'm not going to tell you what the fee is because he may want to change it. I don't know what he wants to charge at this point. But he told me what the fee is, and I felt it was extremely reasonable, especially for what I get in return. I understand the value of building connections because that's where you get more opportunities to refer business and to have business referred to you. So Bob got me out of the house, and I started showing up at these networking meetings, and now I'm working with him much more closely because I actually have fallen in love with his concept. It's called EdgeUp Network, and he's starting groups in cities all over the country already. And the difference that I see with this compared to the ones I've been involved with before is that he is actually bridging the gap between the online and the offline marketing. So after I go to a meeting, when I come out, I'm not going to forget about the group because there's constant contact amongst the members online. What we do, and I actually helped him with this, we designed a referral form. Most of these groups, you have a piece of paper you fill out. I made a referral to so-and-so. Well, we did it online. So the minute somebody fills that form out online, guess what happens? We push it to Twitter, we push it to the Facebook page, and we push it to the LinkedIn group. So we advertise, we promote our successes. We let people know, hey, this is working. Not only that, but it feels good when I get my name mentioned on Twitter by the EdgeUp Network Twitter handle. And especially as that handle's following grows, it'll become that much more valuable. So, I've written the blog post about it, and then there's a follow-up coming to that blog post about a group of people that I met actually just this morning as I'm recording this at one of what we call the power group meetings. And I met some great people with some great products and services, and so I was inspired to come back to my home office here and write up a blog post about each of them. So you're going to see two parts. You're going to see the first part that this video goes with, which is me just telling you about EdgeUp Network and why I think you should join it. And the second part is going to be where I introduce you to some of the people that I met. And you're going to see also how I use Evernote at these functions, at these events, because Evernote, as you often hear me talk about, is an amazing application. I use it to take snapshots of everyone's business cards, so I don't have to waste time entering their information right then and there. And I don't have to worry about the business card being stuffed in my pocket and getting lost or crumpled up. I actually take the snapshot and hand it back to them and say, here, I don't need the card, I've got what I need. So you'll get a look at what that looks like, because I'm gonna, in the blog post, I'll actually link you to the web page of that Evernote note for each of them, so you can see their business cards. And frankly, I'm hoping that you'll be motivated to want to maybe call one of them and find out more about what they do, because as you'll see, I think that some of these people, what they're doing is fascinating and really cool. So check it out. And please don't forget to post your comments below. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.